Watch these next 6 minutes before you do another bit of outreach, before you post another bit of content, and most importantly, before you jump on another sales call. This one thing which I talk about is the reason that we were able to sign 3 high-ticket clients every single week consistently for the past 6 months. There's no guru that talks about this because it's a bit more serious and you can't really sell anything at the back of it, so enjoy and watch it. If you ever wondered what the real difference between a business entrepreneur, a Muslim entrepreneur who's kind of struggling, getting by and not making the amount of money they want to make, and somebody who's generally just thriving and having their marketing absolutely kill it, meaning they can book the amount of meetings they want, just make the amount of money they want to make, like sales calls feel really easy for them, I can tell you from my experience, it's just literally one thing: how emotionally connected you are to your niche. So the more you understand your niche, the deeper your understanding of your niche, the more you kind of dodge this logical part of it. And the more you go into this emotional part. I've got a couple of examples I'm going to share with you, inshallah, but just understand it this really simply. It's like you speaking to somebody and using the right words is very, very logical. However, understanding the effect the words has on them and the right words to use to get certain effect, that's the emotional level. For me, when I used to work with dentists, I understood logically, right? I'm not going to use the word clients with them because clients is just not what they use. They use the word patients, okay? So now, if I'm going to use the word patients to describe clients, I had to understand why was that important? Because emotionally, that's what I cared about. I had to connect it to something emotional. So patients is logical. Why? They're doctors. They don't call their clients clients, they call them patients. That's the logical thing. It's just, that's how it is. Like 1 + 1 = 2. But the emotional aspect is what? They feel like they're serving somebody. They feel like they're helping somebody become healthier. All of a sudden, the word patients has a completely different meaning. So in my marketing, what I ended up talking about was giving the best service possible, getting people whose life you can change. When I talk about my story about why I got into the dental niche for my agency, I talk about how my best friend Collier had really wobbly, horrible teeth, and then he got braces. Now, all of a sudden, all my marketing had to do with the emotional impact that dentists have on their patients. When I was saying, I'm going to help you get more patients, I wasn't saying I'm going to help you get more patients. I was saying, I'm going to help you have an emotional impact on these people's lives so that you feel fulfilled, because that's why you started this in the first place. So when somebody, let's say, does something for the money, when you talk about money, you can't talk about money. Talk about why does your prospect want that money? Do they want it to help their family? What do they want it for? Because then you don't talk about the money anymore. You just talk about that. Why do you think I mentioned in these videos, just being transparent with you, why do you think I mentioned doing hijrah, taking care of your family, taking care of your mum, right? Retiring your parents, having the money to be able to take care of your future wife and kids and being proud of yourself? Because I know emotionally that's what you care about. Most people, when they start off in a niche in their business, they don't know what they emotionally want. They know what they logically want. They want more clients, but emotionally, what does that mean? Because in your outreach and your content, everything has to be around that emotional level. The other day, my brother was really struggling to book meetings for one of his clients that he does cold calling for, like really struggling. And I was like, okay, cool, well, let's understand it from this perspective. Logically, what's happening? He was telling me this, they got certain events, keyword, right? Events. If you understand what events are happening in your niche, that's really good. He's like, well, there's a certain event that's happening next year in these schools. And what my client does is he helps them kind of prepare for those things and making sure that they don't have all these headaches. And I was like, okay, cool. Let's focus on that. You've got the event. What does the event logically mean for your prospects? Logically means they have to do preparations because they're about to be examined and stuff like that. Okay, cool. That's the logical thing that's going to happen. What about the emotional level? Emotionally, what are your prospects going through when doing the preparations? So we ended up figuring out that it's incredibly stressful. It was very hard to measure what was going to happen. So I'll give you a bit of context, by the way. In the UK, there's this institution called Ofsted. Ofsted basically come in, they look at, is your school clean? Are your teachers like good teachers? Is everybody getting the grades they should be getting? It basically just ranks your school on how good it is. Now, what my brother's client does is he helps train teachers a lot better, and he helps train teachers to manage a bunch of stuff. And obviously that matters to the Ofsted exams, which are happening next year. So now in the sales cycle, what's really important is to get as many clients as possible so that my brother's client can help the teachers become better. And what that meant was that we figured out that the teachers found it really hard to measure themselves. They didn't know how they were going to measure themselves, if they were good or bad, until the event happened, until the exam happened. So what the client did is help them gain clarity on this. So we were like, okay, well, if he helps them get clarity on this, they're stressed. We can't just say we're going to remove stress. They don't know how to measure. That's what's causing the stress. So we're saying we're going to talk about absolute clarity. And then when we describe the clarity, we don't say everything's going to be clear about how good you are as a teacher. We're going to talk about emotionally having that clarity about how good you are at changing the students' lives. So you can go to sleep knowing that when Ofsted come the next day, you know that you're a good teacher. You have that certainty that the reason you started teaching is being met. Now, all of a sudden, there's an emotional reason why they're going to book a call with my brother's client. There's an emotional reason why they're going to buy. And guess what? The buying decision happens in the first 2 minutes on sales calls. How does it happen in the first 2 minutes? Well, your prospect, when they join a sales call, they already know, am I going to buy this or not? Then in the 2 minutes, they can decide, am I going to buy it from you or not? And this happens because of how well emotionally connected you are to your prospects with your marketing that happens before the sales call. Hopefully that makes sense. I know I always say that in the videos, by the way, but hopefully that does make sense. You want to understand logically what words you have to use, what events are happening in your prospect's world, and then emotionally, what sort of impact is that having, and only talk about that impact in your marketing and everything. Because what then happens is that you emotionally connect them to you, which means that they become easier to close, they're just better clients, which means your marketing is more effective. This goes for ads, video. Like before you do any video, any ad, any outreach again, figure this out. And this won't take you too long, but this is incredibly important to do. Now that you're going to have the prospect's language, you're going to be emotionally connected to them to a T, you probably need to know how to book more meetings. And if you're currently doing outreach, you want to know how to make your outreach 20 times more effective, go watch this video. I'm going to literally walk you through a 45-minute video of the exact system I used to sign myself, I think it was like 60 clients in 2 weeks. I cannot remember exactly how much it was, but anyways, 10, 15, 20 clients. I can't remember how much it was in a very short amount of time using this specific outreach method. So go ahead, watch that video. Inshallah, I'll see you soon. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.